My name is Harry, and I'm from London.
Meghan Markle here.
This is the problem with the UK. Some are making excuses for her. Alright. Remember how the voter was shocked because she didn't use note? Public speaking is much easier if you're passionate and know your subject. Alright. On my last video, either on APTS Sussex, I say I wasn't gonna play this completely, but for the sake of this video, I'm gonna play it. Okay? There will be screenshot though. Let's pause. The Duchess of Sussex has launched the SmartWorks capsule collection in London. The charity, of which Meghan is patron, helps women to dress and prepare for interviews by providing them with key workwear essentials. Alright, screenshot completely. As a matter of fact, while it's playing, I'm gonna go pee. I don't wanna interrupt it. But unfortunately, as it plays, there will be screenshot. I cannot let it play completely without interrupted. Otherwise, YouTube is gonna flag my video.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. It's very exciting and it looks beautiful, and I'm sorry if you were waiting for a bit in the sunshine though. It's pretty nice to have such good weather. So I thought that it would probably be helpful for you to understand how we ended up here today and why this collection was so important to conceive based on the visits and what I was seeing when I was on site at SmartWorks. And let's maybe go back a little bit. Should I hold for sound? They're grateful back there. When I first moved to the UK, it was incredibly important to me personally to be able to connect with people on the ground doing really important work. And one of the places that I went to very early on was SmartWorks. Now, funny enough, and purely by coincidence, it was just a year ago at this same time that I was working on a project in Grenfell with this woman at a community center called Almanar, and that's when we put together the Together cookbook. So though this is a year later, and obviously this is fashion, not food, at its core, these are very similar projects because they're about women who are empowering each other, me being able to have the opportunity to meet them, get to know them, learn from them, and then say, what can I do in some small way? How can I try to help you amplify this? How can we make this even better, greater, and more impactful for the women that you're trying to help? So on my visits to SmartWorks, one of the times that I went, I realized there's a little bit of a challenge in terms of styling for the women because we had a lot of donations, but not necessarily the things that women needed to have. I said, okay, well, let's try to work with what we have and make the best of it. And then the next time I went, you'll remember this, there was a rack of about 40 or 50 lilac-colored blazers. Now, don't get me wrong. It's a great blazer, and I'm sure for someone, it's exactly what she wants to be wearing. But for most women, when you're going in there and you want to have a job interview and you want to feel your very best and you want to feel confident, you want to be wearing the pieces of clothing that make you feel that way, and not the leftovers that didn't sell from the end of the season. And I kept thinking about it as I went home, and it didn't track for me, and I said, we have to do something to change this. And a big piece of this is trying to transform the idea of charity to community. And the way that we do that, I think, as people, is when we go into our closet as a woman and you say, I'm going to make a donation, you don't go through your closet and just toss in a box whatever you don't care about anymore. That's charity as we know it today. Community is going through your closet and saying, this is the blazer that I wore when I nailed my first job interview and got my dream job. And I don't need that anymore because I'm where I want to be. But if I'm able to share that blazer and be part of another woman's success story, then that's community. And so when I thought about it in that personal space, I said, on a bigger level, what can we do with brands? And what companies would be able to help us convene and come together to really build a collection for the women of SmartWorks that could be the pieces that they need to feel confident going into those rooms. This is sort of how we thought of the SmartWorks capsule collection. The first designer that I thought of immediately was a really good friend of mine, Misha Nunu, who has spent a lot of time with her brand ethos developing women's empowerment, but also specifically a capsule wardrobe. So you have key pieces that you can mix and match and really maximize what you have. We all know that in your closet, right? You have certain pieces that you can take from 4 items of clothing and suddenly you have 10 outfits. So that was really important. Separately, I thought, if this is going to be classics and essentials, what are traditional and quintessential British brands that I've become introduced to once I moved here that for me resonated and I knew would resonate with a SmartWorks customer? And that seemed obvious to do M&S and John Lewis, which I've worn quite a bit in the past year or two since I've been here, and they thankfully said yes as well, as did Misha. And the last company that I wanted to have be a part of this project was Jigsaw. And truth be told, that was because I had seen a campaign they had done the year before that was really highlighting the diversity of the UK and the immigrant culture and how that was part of the fabric of the nation. And when I saw that, I was so touched by it, and I said, anyone who's seeing the world that way and seeing the community that way is someone that I think would be a great partner to have on this project. So they all said yes, and that was a great start. And so thank you so much for that. As we've seen this evolve, I think what's been really amazing is to know that these women will now be equipped in a project that will just be a couple weeks, but will give us enough units to be able to have the women at SmartWorks have these key essentials for a year. And that in and of itself, to be able to have one small project that has such big impact, is something that I'm really connected to. This is the kind of work that I've been doing for a really long time, and to be able to do it here in my new home of the UK means quite a bit to me. It's also the same vein of work that my husband and I will continue doing, really strong community-based projects, and this is something that we'll be excited to be able to share more about next year when we launch our foundation, Sussex Royal, in 2020. So I think at the end of the day, I just want to thank all of you for being able to be here, be a part of this success story for these women. I think it's really key in this day and age that we remember it's not just about the people that you know that you're supporting. It's about the people that you don't know, that you may never know, you may never meet. As women, it is 100% our responsibility, I think, to support and uplift each other, to champion each other as we aim to succeed, to not set each other up for failure, but instead to really be there rallying around each other and say, I want to help you. And you may not ever meet that person, but you'll know when you put on that blazer or that shirt, or you carry that tote, or put on those trousers or that dress, that some other woman on the other side of this country is wearing that piece because you made that purchase. And that's why the one-for-one model I found was so incredibly important, and that's why I'm really touched that everyone agreed to do this business model in that way. One quick thing that I found out as we were in the car on the way over here was that the tote's already sold out online. So that's great. And my hope is for any of the brands, if you do have that level of success that you're seeing really early on, to hopefully amplify what you've been able to already be so generous in doing with your contribution, and extend it for just a little bit more so that everyone can play a part in this shared success story. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate it, and I will hand it over to you on the panel. Thank you.
All right. So I just wanted you guys to listen to her speech, and that's it. All right. Let me go to the next tweet. For those, because I'm seeing new people subscribing to my channel, just in case you were where I was once when I first started following and talking about Meghan. Squaddies were showing and sharing her things, so that's why I shared that. Next tweet. Okay. By the way, Meghan Markle is not ashamed of her first name, Rachel, decided to address this long-running weird theory that is not for the people that are not weird. I've always found it fascinating that deranged royalists think that calling Meghan the Duchess of Sussex by her first name, Rachel, will upset her, and that calling her by that name is like a slur, insult, or a jab to her. It's not. Meghan is her middle name, used by her parents from birth simply because they preferred it and the end to the first name they gave her. It's that simple. As shown in the clip below, I will share it with you in a few, where Meghan happily volunteered to TV host Rachel Ray in May 2018 that Rachel is actually her first name. She is not ashamed of it, and if so, she wouldn't have mentioned this as a fun fact about her. It's not okay, let me pause so I don't get flagged. Where is it? It's not, where was it? Okay, if not interrupted, Meghan was about to explain that her parents call her Meghan, hence they are responsible for this, not her. Indeed, there is no trail that suggests Meghan was ever once widely known as Rachel, and that it was her who radically decided to change the name everyone knew her by. She always been known as Meghan. Either way, Rachel is equally a cool name too. It's not a slur or a name people think it's not nice. Right? It is a clear example of parasocial behavior when ad internet individuals come up with theories and project them onto Meghan, like deciding she's ashamed of Rachel and deciding that there's some sinister reason for why she's been called Meghan since forever. There isn't. If you need help with this PSA, I believe there is a helpline out there for you somewhere. All right, so let's listen to this. It's 31 seconds. Screenshot, okay?
Okay, but we should talk about Suits too.
Oh, yeah.
It's already been picked up for its 5th season.
Yeah.
Which is great.
It's really cool.
And the character's name is Rachel, which is great.
And do you know that my first name is Rachel in real life? Did you know that?
I had no idea.
So I was born Rachel Meghan Markle, but my parent, I know, it's Kismet. I know.
You have to let me do like a guest bloggy advice
Please.
editorial thing
Ask
on the
Rachel. I would love
Yes, we gotta do it.
I would love that.
Okay, but we should talk
Okay?
about Suits.
She's the one who brought that topic up. That's what she was saying here. And then if Rachel Ray had let her finish the thought, we would have known much more. Okay, I thought she was known Meghan Sussex. Oh my God, of course she is. She is. Don't you know what the knee means? Look it up. Okay, let's, whatever is here. They also weird. People in the entertainment often switch up their own names, even taking a last name of a grandmother, or make one up for no other reason than it sounds right. Meghan chose to continue using one of her own legal name because it's what she's known as since childhood. It's normal. The other day I was watching something regarding the Sheen, Charlie Sheen, father. He has, what's the last name of Charlie Sheen father? Estabaz or something like that. I think they're Puerto Rican descent, and they are Puerto Rican. And the father changed the name to Sheen because it was so hard to get into the entertainment business with a Spanish last name. Okay, and okay, Charlie Sheen changed the last name, went along with the father, and the other brother kept the Spanish name because of his own reason. Look it up, okay? Not too long ago, I was watching that. Okay, the Sheen family. Okay. I didn't want this video to focus on that, but since we're talking about it. Everything that she does that is normal for anyone else has to be reframed as demonic. There are internet trolls that will make a whole commentary video of her blinking, turning her head away, and moving her hair out of her eyes. Fake body language expert will find a way to suggest this as an attempt by her to manipulate someone nearby her or something. They subject her to the highest form of dehumanization to justify and distract from their own dark, evil, and cruel treatment of her. I have several relatives who go by their middle name, mostly to distinguish them from relatives with the same name. I would have been one of them. Mom is also Mary. If any great aunt hadn't said, there are too many Marys in this family, she looks like a Mimi when I was 12 days old. Okay, what I don't get is people's problem with Meghan going by her middle name. It's not usual for people to be known by their middle name. It's more common than people think. The hypocrisy is these are the same people who complain when Princess of Wales get called Kate Middleton. I think that's why that's the reason this Squaddy put this here. Next tweet. This video might have part 1 and part 2. The day the one who hates her real name delivers her practice speech that was written for her, first one in over 2 years, the internet suffers an outage. Won't he do it? The squad be throwing some shit, making reference to Kate's speech, and oh my God. I've never seen a more stiff delivery of a speech, obviously written for her, and read word for word, a word salad with no connection between the words spoken and the delivery. She shouldn't bother to ever make a speech again as she goes from bad to worse. I think also they're putting pressure on her too. That's not, I'm sorry, I keep on saying that, but this is how I feel. They are forcing her to do things. The woman who was too lazy to work in her pre-royal life is now lecturing people about business investment. What did they say here? According to Kensington Palace, the event focused on how business investment and early childhood can develop essential human skills required for future workforce success during an era of significant technological advancement. The initiative aimed to benefit more than 1 million babies and young children by 2026. The princess delivered an impassioned address about her dedication to early years education and the significance of establishing connection with future generations. She opened the proceedings with remarks about her Royal Foundation Center for Early Childhood's fundamental mission. That's a quote here. My passion and the work of the Center for Early Childhood stems from one essential truth, that the love we feel in our earliest years fundamentally shapes who we become and how we thrive as adults, Kate told the Assembly business leaders. Whatever. Okay. The way she held the papers, there's a laugh here. The speech introduction literally broke the internet. Was it that bad? All right, let's leave that alone. Let me move on. Okay, I see here Kate and LOL. Probably still making reference to the speech. Okay, so where's Kate gonna go? Oh, I know what this is about. Okay, I was reading the comments because it was written by this person. This person, I don't know who it is. This is what I'm saying. They're flooding our timeline with things from the UK. So you are forced to, not really forced, okay? You curious, you want to know. Then I started reading the comments and I came across this, okay? That's one of the squad. And said, where's Kate gonna go? So the original tweet says here, if you can't speak English, you shouldn't be living in England. Foreign nationals who refuse to learn our language should be deported. Okay, the narrative of the UK, especially with Farage and all of them. So this squaddy went in the comment section. You see, it has 722 comments. And for some reason, I spotted the squaddy's one. And she says here, so where's Kate gonna go? Because it seems like she can't speak English. There's this. Princess of Wales barely speak. Let me stop laughing so I can read it properly. Prince of Wales barely speak Welsh. His wife, Kate Middleton, she hardly speak English. Check written notes. If you know, you know. Mumbles her version of posh English and definitely not Welsh. Oops, she's not Kate Middleton. Probably an imposter. Anyway, deport them. This is a squaddy laughing. Hello Kitty Land, there's that. But she uses subtitles. Doesn't that count? What did I miss? There's the squad just laughing. Wherever it is, I doubt she'll be able to pronounce the place. There's all of that. That's a lot of tea. This one, Mumbleland, that's where she'll go. Let's leave that alone. I did post this on my community, but when I came across it, I was so busy and I took the time to take the screenshot to share with you. Next tweet. Members of the UK royal family will kill you because they have to rush to tea and there's nothing you can do about it. Why does S5E Ford Fiesta have a full police motorcade when 3/4 of the country can't even pick her out of the lineup? Okay, so she's retweeting this from Chris Chip. Why did the Duchess of Edinburgh have to go back for tea at Windsor at 60 miles per hour and cause a death? The brother of Helen Holland, killed by a police outrider escorting S5E through London, says he doesn't understand why her convoy was traveling at such speed. Crazy, I don't understand it, he told ITV. There's all of that here. Explanation mark. How is the royal family in general and S5E Duchess of Edinburgh in particular responsible for the decision of an upfront outrider trained by the police? I don't even think most people heard about this. But the reason why some of the squad are bringing things like this up, okay, we understand the situation. Because they make noise out of every little thing that especially Meghan does. Meghan closed her door. It's an outrage. Okay? But this, who took a life, you don't hear a beep. So the squad, it happened a couple of years ago, I believe. Let's see if the screenshot says anything. Oh, November 25. That was yesterday. 9 November 25. But wasn't there was a death similar to that? I thought that was the old one. Did something else happen? Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, so the squad are highlighting things that should make people outraged, but the UK don't talk about it. Okay, imagine if this was Meghan's security detail, they'd be written headlines as if Meghan herself was driving. Okay, this is the perfect example. This is exactly why the squad are talking about it. There's to comment on the... I cannot see it. Probably the ranges that are black. Okay, I've seen many emergencies, but never an emergency T. Why couldn't she have just driven herself with one police person? Ridiculous pandering as usual. And if we, the public, are paying for that, then a total waste of taxpayers' money. Do they have wrongful death lawsuit in the country? Damn, I would love to hear if there was a response to that. A driver, be it a bike or a car, is responsible for their own action, not someone in a vehicle behind them. Okay, where's the... Imagine if this was Meghan. Let me copy this. And then I'll black it. Let me paste it. A driver, yeah, that one. Okay. And let me black her. I don't want to hear her response. Let's go to the next tweet. All right, Sussex Squad. Okay, I'm almost done. Let me see some. Let me pause for a few. Okay, I just removed this from the list because it's almost 11 minutes. This will be a video by itself. Okay, so let's continue. All right, let me pause this. The British tabloid and their dumb readers waking up pissed at made-up scenarios about Meghan and Harry. Meanwhile, this is Meghan and Harry. You hosts need to get a life because the Sussexes don't give a F. This is when Harry and Meghan were in Colombia. It's 21 seconds. I don't know if she manipulated. Okay, I'm muting it, okay, because of copyright. They are dancing, having fun. This is why when they do engagement, people want to watch them because they are having fun. One thing I said about this Colombia visit, if you saw wherever they went, I did cover it. It's probably either on PYTE or our Port of View service. There was security going around with them, and the vice president was with them at every event. Knowing what we know now, after Harry said the father told other countries to not provide security for them, okay, there's the video where he said that.
In which I would be bringing... I can't see a world in which I would be bringing my wife and children back to the UK at this point. And the things that they're going to miss is, well, everything. You know, I love my country. I always have done. Despite what some people in that country have done. So, you know, I miss the UK. I miss parts of the UK, of course I do. And I think it's really quite sad that I won't be able to show, you know, my children my homeland. You know? And I think what really worries me more than anything else about today's decision, depending on, you know, what happens next, is that it's set a new precedent that security can be used to control members of the family. And effectively what it does is imprison other members of the family from being able to, you know, choose a different life. You know, if for me, security is conditional on having an official role, one that both myself and my wife wished to carry on, but then was rejected, not by Ravek, was rejected by the royal household. And the result to that is you lose your security. That basically says that you can't live outside of their control. If you want to be safe.
Do you want the court battle to continue? Do you want to try to see this get to the Supreme Court?
I don't want any battles to continue. There is way too much suffering and way too much conflict in the world. At the heart of it is a family dispute. And it makes me really, really sad that we're sitting here today, 5 years later, where a decision that was made, most likely, in fact, I know, to keep us under the roof. But then once you realized that that wasn't going to work, once they realized that, you know, myself, my wife, and our kids are happier outside of the institution, then please just look at the facts. Look at the risks, look at the threat, look at the impact that if anything was to happen to me, my wife, or my father's grandchildren, if anything was to happen to them, look where the responsibility lies. You know? So, you know, there's a duty of care that has been completely thrown out the window. And that doesn't feel great. So for me, having an official role was conditional on keeping security. But for everybody else, people who have chosen this life to enter into public office and then leave, get it for life, regardless of whether they have risk or threat to their name. And by the way, I agree with that. I think that is absolutely the right thing to do. That if you come in and you serve your country, even if it's a minimum of 4 years, that you get the protection that you require because of your public service. I was born into this position. It wasn't a choice. I've served my country for 35 years. I believe that I am still continuing to serve my country. Public service is my life. That is the dedication that will never change. And then all the other bits and pieces that are added to that. You know, there are very, very real threats that exist out there. Some that are known about, some that are being withheld. And for people in power and responsibility of decisions to know that those threats and risks exist, but to turn around and say, well, because you don't have an official role, your life doesn't actually matter anymore. Well, you can imagine how I feel about that, but you can also imagine, not even imagine, that is the most illogical argument in the history of arguments. At this point, I'm feeling very let down. You know, it's the minority of people, especially those that read the tabloids and the press themselves. The press themselves have incited so much hatred towards myself, my wife, and even our children, that's hard to forgive. I actually couldn't believe it. I thought with all the disagreements and all of the chaos that's happening, the one thing that I could rely on is my family keeping me safe. And not only did they decide to remove my security in the UK, but they also signaled to every single government around the world not to protect us. I would love reconciliation with my family.
So the government in Colombia will probably listen to what Charles said. But because the vice president was with them, every event that they were going, the vice president was with them. So therefore, the vice president's security was there to also protect Harry and Meghan. And Harry and Meghan had their own security as well. Okay? All right, there's all of that. It's mostly emoji. So this is my last one. This has nothing to do with Harry and Meghan. It has to do with Nicki Minaj.
It is a great privilege to be with all of you today.
You know, we ask for forgiveness, and please come back.
As you saw me find the love and happiness that I'd hoped for all my life. You are all in this together, and if I may speak personally, we are all in this together, because asking for help was one of the best decisions that I ever made. You will be continually amazed how life changes for the better